Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today we have our January 2024 round of Once Upon a TBR Honey Jar. This, of course, is coming out on Christmas, so if you celebrate, Merry Christmas, and if you don't, here is another video to just get you ready for the new year, I guess. I'm really excited to keep playing my game in the new year. I am going to be making some changes because I have some plans for 2024, and the way my game plays out right now, it's just, there's no way I can do my plans and have all these books. So I'm definitely looking to shorten my TBR game books. Now it's pretty much going to be the same. I'm still going to make it to the end, but what I decided to do is I'm going to move 2 spaces for every color except for black and purple, because there's not as many of those on the board. And then if I pull 2 in a row of either black or purple, I will move 2 on those. It's just any of the other colors, I'm just going to automatically move 2, and then I won't necessarily move 2 if I pull 2 in a row, if that makes sense. Just because, so I just want to kind of shorten my game a little bit. Black is going to stay the same. If I land on black, I'll move forward 3 spaces and use the genre for that prompt, and then pull 2 honey jar prompts. I'm still going to have the unusable disc at the end and the character prompt in the beginning. All that's going to stay the same. It's just basically I'm going to be moving double, just to help myself out a little bit, because I have some plans. I have my ABC book edition challenge that I'm going to be doing. So I did the author challenge. I finished that up. And now I'm going to be doing the book. And so the first couple months I'm going to be reading 3 books, and then most of the rest of the months I'm going to be reading 2 books. There's a few more months I'll have 3 books on there. And so I just really, with that, that's already a chunk. I do want to continue on with the Harry Potter series. I'm rereading those, and so they just get bigger from here on out. So I definitely, need time for that. I also want to start reading the Outlander series this year. I would like to read one of these each month, and so again, these get bigger as they go, and so I need time to read those. And I would also like to read the Inheritance Cycle series by Christopher Paolini. And these are chunky books. This one's not too bad, but the other ones are quite chunky. I know they're quick reads though, so that will help. But again, another series I really want to read in 2024. So I also am going to be doing this. This is the Book of Mysteries by Jonathan Cahn. And this is basically kind of biblical. And so it has like each day for the year, it has a little thing, and then it gives you some of the Bible verses to read. So that's something. I found this, I didn't realize what it was, and then when I saw it, I was like, you know what, I would be interested in doing that. So that's something I want to do for 2024. As far as January specifically goes, I did not end up getting to The Return of the King by J.R. Tolkien in November, so this one I would really like to get on my January TBR and get this series completed. And then I'll also have 2, these are both rollovers. Shogun by James Clavell from October. Just been taking my time with this. I know I'm not going to finish it in December, and so it will roll over to January. And then I also have the Iliad and the Odyssey, which was on my November TBR. I read a tiny amount, not much, and I don't know how much of this I'll get read in December, and so I would really, really like to roll this over as well and just finish it up in January. So those are all books that are already kind of going to be going on, and then I do have my 3 for my ABC author challenge, which I'll talk about at the end if I'm not able to get them actually on the official TBR. There are 3 of those though, so I did not read all my books from my game in November. I'm not doing any rollovers from November other than the ones I started, because of the 24 Days of Bookmas, which when you're seeing this, that's done. I should only have maybe my Genre-a-thon books and one extra book that I forgot because I didn't have it physically, and so I didn't get into the 24 Days of Bookmas. But anyway, I don't have any rollovers, so these are all going back in the jar. There were 5 books, plus The Return of the King, which didn't have a prompt that I didn't get to, so the first one is actually one I did read, but it's the bookworm mood read, so that's actually the 6th prompt that's going back in, because the bookworms always go back into the honey jar prompt. Then we had Treasure Planet, Pirates, or Ships that I didn't get to. I was supposed to read Saint by Adrienne Young for that one, didn't get to it. Red cover, this is Little Red Riding Hood. I did not get to that. That was supposed to be One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus, because I have the back, and it did not have a dust jacket, and the hardback cover is red. Then we had Brother Bear, which is Alaskan Landscape, which is supposed to be The Great Alone by Kristin Hanna. Didn't get to it, obviously. Big Bad Wolf, Anti-Hero. This was supposed to be Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. And so that will go back in. And then lastly, we had Coco, and this was Musical Instrument, and that was supposed to be The Girl in the Love Song by Emma Scott, I want to say, which I did not get to. Oh. That one came apart. It was going in. So they're back in there, so we can pull them again if we so choose. If they happen to come up, rather. And so yeah, the honey jars are ready to go. Before we get into the gameplay, of course, I have my Genre-a-thon pick, which is Anne Frank the Biography. The prompt for Genre-a-thon is reflection, looking back before moving forward. And is to read a historical. So this is perfect. I did read the Diary of Anne Frank in school, and so when I saw this at the thrift store ages ago, I picked it up and have been wanting to read it. So it says, here at last is the first full biography of the girl whose fate touched the lives of millions. For people all over the world, Anne Frank, the vivacious, intelligent Jewish girl with a crooked smile and huge dark eyes, has become the human face of the Holocaust. Drawing on exclusive interviews with family and friends, on previously unavailable correspondence, and on 5 diary pages long kept secret, Melissa Muller creates a nuanced portrait of her famous subject. Here is Anne Frank returned to history, the flesh and blood Anne Frank, unsentimentalized and so all the more affecting. Full of revelation, Muller's richly textured biography casts new light on Anne's relations with her mother and solves an enduring mystery. Who betrayed the families hiding in the annex just when liberation was at hand? This is an indispensable volume for all those who seek a deeper understanding of Anne Frank and the brutal times in which she lived and died. So that's my pick for Genre-a-thon. It does not go with the game at all. It is an extra book. And so yeah, let me go ahead and get the game board set up, and I will be right back. Alright, so just a reminder, we do still have a reward token from October, so I can use this to replace a honey jar prompt if there's one that I just don't want to do this month. We did get Christopher Robin for the first time in December, and so if we roll him again, I can choose to re-roll, or I can keep him, whatever I choose to do. And then if we do roll Christopher Robin, it is a coming-of-age story, or a middle grade and younger, and that's if we roll a 1. 2 is Pooh, which is a classic or a comfort read. 3 is Piglet, which is an auto-buy author or a reread. And 4 is Rabbit, which is a free choice. And then, as always, the colors do correspond to genres. So if it's blue, it's a sci-fi. Yellow is historical. Again, I still need to fix the fiction part. It can be any type of historical. Green is fantasy. Red is romance. Orange is mystery or thriller. Purple is any genre, and black, again, we move forward 3 spaces and we choose the genre for that color, but we would need to choose 2 honey jar prompts if we pull a black. And so let's go ahead and see which character we get. So we're gonna shake, 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 and toss. And we get Christopher Robin again, which I actually really like. middle grade and younger, which I don't read as much, and coming of age stories. So I'm going to go ahead and keep Christopher Robin, especially since we had such a hard time getting him last year. So that's who we'll be playing. Yeah, let's go ahead. Watch, we're probably going to get Christopher Robin a lot this year because I wanted him so badly last year and couldn't get him. So let's see. I'll do this one. And that is a green, so that is a fantasy. So again, we're moving 2, 1, 2. And we need a fantasy that fulfills the prompt of... Let's go ahead and do this one. Okay. So this is the Big Bad Wolf, and this is an unreliable narrative. Okay. And next. This one. Okay, and that is an orange, so mystery or thriller. And that's a nice big move. So 1, and then 2. And this is actually a special square. So it's Christopher Robin or Pooh to next yellow, which is all the way over here. That's a big move. I'm loving it. So because it's a special square, it does not need to be a mystery or thriller, but it does need to fulfill the prompt of this one. Okay. So we had this one in November and I didn't get to it. So this is Brother Bear and it's Alaskan Landscape. That was a nice big move. Really love that. Okay. Now we'll go with this one. So this is another orange. So that's 2 in a row. But I think I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. If I want to go ahead and move 3. I think since this one's going so well, I'm just going to go ahead and move the 2. So 1 and 2. So this is another special square. Sit on bench. So again, it does not need to be a mystery or thriller. It can be any genre, but it does need to fulfill the prompt of... Okay, so this is a bookworm and this is physical TBR. So I go onto my computer and into my Excel spreadsheet with all my unread books, and I randomize a number, and whatever number that is, that's the book I choose. Alright, let's go ahead and see. This one. Okay, that's a blue, which is a sci-fi. We go 1 and 2. So we need a sci-fi that fulfills the prompt of... this one? Okay, so a sci-fi, that's an Instagram pic. So I'll go on Instagram and whatever sci-fi I see, that will be what I read. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we get here. This one is a red, so that is a romance. We'll go 1 and 2. So we need a romance that... right here. Okay, so I need a romance with by an author that has either the same name as me or has the same initials. Let's see here. This one. Okay, so we got yellow, which is historical, and that actually moves us pretty far. So we need a historical that fits the prompt of... go ahead and do this one. Okay, and historical with a neurodiverse rep. That might be kind of hard to find. But as always, if I cannot do the both the genre and the honey jar prompt, the honey jar prompt is the more important of the two. All right, let's see what we can do. This one. That is another red. That goes 1 and 2. So another romance that fulfills the prompt of... let's do this one. Ooh. So a romance that has a spiritual element. So if we pull a black or a red, we're done. Blue or orange, we can move. Anything else goes off to the side. Let's go ahead and see what this is. So that's a blue, so we only move 1. Actually, no. We get to move 2. for getting my own changes. So because we got to move 2, that takes us to the North Pole. So it does not need to be a sci-fi, but it does need to fulfill the prompt of. Okay, so this is Moana, and it's family expectation. So yeah, we'll see what we can find for those. I'm gonna go ahead and choose my books, and I will be right back. All right, I got my books picked out. I did kind of stray a little bit away from the genre prompts. As I mentioned, the honey jar prompts are the most important. And so those are the ones that I'm trying to fulfill. And if I can fulfill the genre prompt as well, I will. But otherwise, the honey jar prompts are the important ones. And I really wanted to make this work for my plans. I put I had less books because of doing the double spaces, but then I put big books on. Though page count wise, it's still less than what I have been doing, so I'm pretty happy. So I ended up with, let's see, 8, 9, 10 books with my Genre-a-thon book, which is good because I've been like 19 books. And then I have my 2 rollovers that I don't know how many pages will be left in them because I'm obviously going to be working on them throughout December. I always film about a month ahead. And so, yeah, we'll see how it goes. So first up, of course, I will be reading the Book of Mysteries by Jonathan Cahn. This is one I'm going to be reading throughout the whole year because it has, each day it has a little thing you read, and then it has like Bible verses. So like you can see here, day 1. And so yeah, I'm going to be doing this throughout the year, so that will go on every month. And I'm not going to actually count it as far as like page count or anything. This is going to be just something I'm doing off to the side, but it is obviously going to be some reading, so I want to include that and mention that. And then, of course, I already talked about my Genre-a-thon pick, which is Anne Frank, the Biography by Melissa Muller. So there is that. And then first up, we got Christopher Robin again. I decided to go ahead and keep him since we struggled so much getting him in 2023. Since I got him again, I wanted to keep him. And so that is to read a middle grade or younger, or you can read a coming of age story. So this is more young adult, but it is, from what I understand, is kind of a coming of age story. And so I'm going to choose Eragon for this by Christopher Paolini. So of course this is one of the books that a series I want to read in 2024. So I'm happy to get the first one on the TBR right off the bat. And so this one, let's see here. So one boy, so he's about 15, so definitely coming of age. One boy, one dragon, a world of adventure. When Eragon finds a polished blue stone in the forest, he thinks it is the lucky discovery of a poor farm boy. Perhaps it will buy his family meat for the winter. But when the stone brings a dragon hatchling, Eragon soon realizes he has stumbled upon a legacy nearly as old as the Empire itself. Overnight, his simple life is shattered, and he is thrust into a perilous new world of destiny, magic, and power. With only an ancient sword and the advice of an old storyteller for guidance, Eragon and the fledgling dragon must navigate the dangerous terrain and dark enemies of the Empire, ruled by a king whose evil knows no bounds. Can Eragon take up the mantle of the legendary dragon riders? The fate of the Empire may rest in his hands. So yeah, I'm excited to finally get to this series. I never read it when I was younger, so I found one at a thrift store, got the rest, and they've just been sitting on my shelf staring at me ever since. So really, really excited to have that one. Then we pulled a green, which is fantasy. And for this one, we got The Big Bad Wolf, and it needed to be an unreliable narrative or narrator, either way. And so for this one, again, you don't really know going in, but based on the synopsis of this one, I thought it would work. And so I'm going to be reading The Assassin's Blade, which is a Throne of Glass. It has novellas for the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. So this is kind of a bunch of prequel novellas to the series itself. And yeah, she's an assassin. So, and she doesn't really know where her allegiance lie. So it says, Selena Sardathian is her kingdom's most feared assassin. Though she works for the powerful Assassins Guild, she yields to no one and trusts only her fellow killer for hire, Sam. When Selena's scheming master, Robin Hamill, dispatches her on missions that take her from remote islands to hostile deserts, she finds herself acting independently of his wishes and questioning her own allegiance. She will have to risk it all if she hopes to escape Arabin's clutches, and if she fails, she'll lose not just a chance at freedom, but her life. So, being that she's an assassin, I think that's a little bit of an unreliable narrator. So, I'm gonna choose that for that prompt. And then let's see here. Then we got an orange, which is a mystery or thriller, but this was a special square. Um, and it was Christopher Robin or Pooh to the next yellow, so we don't have to have a mystery or thriller on this one. And we pulled Brother Bear Alaskan Landscape, which is one of the ones I just put back in. So I decided, since it came out again, I'm gonna put on the same book as before. And that is, of course, Kristin Hanna, The Great Alone, which takes place in Alaska. Well, they moved to Alaska. So, yeah, I really did want to read this in November, and since I didn't get to it and that came back out, I said I'd go ahead and use this again. And so this one says Alaska, 1974, unpredictable, unforgiving, untamed. For a family in crisis, the ultimate test of survival. Ernst Albright, a former POW, comes home from the Vietnam War a changed and volatile man. When he loses yet another job, he makes an impulsive decision. He will move his family north to Alaska, where they will live off the grid in America's last true frontier. 13-year-old Lenny, a girl coming of age in a tumultuous time, caught in the riptide of her parents' passionate, stormy relationship, dares to hope that a new land will lead to a better future for her family. She is desperate for a place to belong. Her mother, Cora, will do anything and go anywhere for the man she loves, even if it means following him into the unknown. At first, Alaska seems to be the answer to their prayers. In a wild, remote corner of the state, they find a fiercely independent community of strong men and even stronger women. The long, sunlit days and the generosity of the locals make up for the Albrights' lack of preparation and dwindling resources. But as winter approaches, darkness descends on Alaska, Ernst's fragile mental state deteriorates, and the family begins to fracture. Soon the perils outside pale in comparison to the threats from within. In their small cabin, covered in snow, blanketed in 18 hours a night, Lenny and her mother learn the terrible truth. They are on their own. In the wild, there is no one to save them but themselves. In this unforgettable portrait of human frailty and resilience, Kristin Hanna reveals the indomitable character of the modern American pioneer and the spirit of a vanishing Alaska, a place of incomparable beauty and danger. The Great Alone is a daring, beautiful, stay-up-all-night story about love and loss, the fight for survival, and the wildness that lives in both man and nature. So, I know this is kind of a more difficult one. Obviously, it deals with PTSD and such, but I really do want to read this one. I'm really interested in it. So there's that. Then we pulled another orange, and in my old rules, if you pull the same color back to back, you would move two, but since I'm already moving two, I decided I would just stick with the two. I wouldn't move like a third one, so it doesn't really count unless it's a purple. And for this one, we got a bookworm, which was physical TBR. And so what this means is I have a list of all my unread physical books that I have on my shelves, and it's not up to date because the newest hauls I haven't gotten in there yet, but I basically went on, and you'll see I had 1,117 books on there, and so I randomized that, and it came up with the number 609, which was this book here, and that is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. And I will say, when I get this one, if like it had fallen on the second book in the series, I would have just gone to the first book in the series. But yeah, this is one I found at a thrift store. I think I found both of them together at the thrift store. and was really, really excited, and they just, again, been sitting there since, which is kind of why I like this prompt, because I'm choosing mostly books off my physical TBR anyway, unless there's a prompt that doesn't fit something, but this just kind of picks a random book from there for me. So I'm really excited to read this one. And it says 17-year-old Kiva Meriden has spent the last 10 years fighting for survival in the notorious death prison Zalindov, working as a prison healer. When the rebel queen is captured, Kiva is charged with keeping the terminally ill woman alive long enough for her to undergo the trial by ordeal, a series of elemental challenges against the torments of air, fire, water, and earth, assigned to only the most dangerous of criminals. Then a coded message from Kiva's family arrives containing a single order: "Don't let her die. We are coming." Aware that the trials will kill the sickly queen, Kiva risks her own life and volunteers in her place. If she succeeds, both she and the queen will be granted their freedom. But no one has ever survived. With an incurable plague sweeping Zalindov, a mysterious new inmate fighting for Kiva's heart, and a prison rebellion brewing, Kiva can't escape the terrible feeling that her trials have only just begun. I didn't realize that there was a elemental aspect to that, so that makes me even more excited for this. So that is for that. Then these books are trying to fall state. Then we pulled a blue. I believe this was okay, so this wasn't. This is a bookworm, and it was an Instagram pic. And it needed to be sci-fi because blue is sci-fi, which was really, really difficult. So I'll insert a screenshot. I originally just did Bookstagram, but a lot of romances and such were coming up. So then I just put sci-fi books and saw what came. Oh my god, I cannot talk. And to see what would come up under just sci-fi books. And I don't have a lot of sci-fi. I'm really not interested in buying books unless it's something I'm really interested in. So I went until I saw a book that I owned. And this is another one that was on a previous TBR that I did not get to, and that is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. And so this works perfect because I actually bought this one for the prompt, and then I ended up not reading it. So when it came up, I was like, okay, good, because I need to read the books I buy. So I don't mind so much the ones that I'm hauling from like the thrift store and just kind of collecting, but the ones I buy kind of new, I definitely want to get read sooner rather than later. So this one, you have Darrow is a Red, a member of the lowest caste in the color-coded society of the future. Like his fellow Reds, he works all day, believing that he and his people are making the surface of Mars livable for future generations. Yet he spends his life willingly, knowing that his blood and sweat will one day result in a better world for his children. But Darrow and his kind have been betrayed. Soon he discovers that humanity already reached the surface generations ago. Vast cities and sprawling parks spread across the planet. Darrow and Reds like him are nothing more than slaves to a decadent ruling class. Inspired by a longing for justice and driven by the memory of lost love, Darrow sacrifices everything to infiltrate the legendary institute, a proving ground for the dominant gold caste, where the next generation of humanity's overlords struggle for power. He will be forced to compete for his life and the very future of the civilization against the best and most brutal of society's ruling class. There he will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if it means he has to become one of them to do so. So, I've been wanting to read this for a while, so I'm excited to get back on another TBR to hopefully read it this time. There's that one. Then we got a Red, which is romance. And this is a bookworm, and it's same name or initials. Now this is a really hard one. And this one I don't think there's any romance in it at all. It's like a vampire book. And this one's 909 pages. Like, why am I doing this to myself? But I am really interested in reading it. I just picked it up when I got the last few books for my ABC Author Challenge. So I was really, really excited for that. And that's The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. Sorry. Again, I cannot speak today. Elizabeth Kostova, and my middle name's actually Elizabeth, so it works. And I am actually really, really excited. This has been on a book I've been wanting to pick up for a while, so I'm really excited to have this. So it says, breathtakingly suspenseful and beautifully written, The Historian is the story of a young woman plunged into a labyrinth where the secrets of her family's past connect to an inconceivable evil, the dark reign of Vlad the Impaler, and a time-defying pact that may have kept his awful work alive through the ages. The search for the truth becomes an adventure of monumental proportions, taking us from monasteries and dusty libraries to the capitals of Eastern Europe, in a feat of storytelling so rich, so hypnotic, so exciting that it has enthralled readers around the world. So big old chunky book to add to the stack. But I am excited. And I forgot to mention the Assassin's Blade is actually for my ABC Author Challenge. And that's obviously for the letter A, the Assassin's Blade. So then let's see here. We got a yellow, which is historical. And for this, we got Lilo and Stitch Neurodiverse Rep. I'm actually going to use my reward for this. So I do have some books that have neurodiverse rep, not necessarily historical, but again, when it comes between the two, between honey jar prompts or the genre, the honey jar prompt is the most important. However, I had one book that I wasn't able to get on for anything else, and it's part of my 2024 plans and I really wanted to get it on. So I used my reward prompt so I could put Outlander by Diana Gabaldon on there. Because like I said, I'm planning on reading the series this year. And so using my reward, this is a historical, so it works out perfect. So it says the year is 1945. Claire Randall, a former combat nurse, is back from the war and reunited with her husband on a second honeymoon. When she walks through a standing stone in one of the ancient stone circles that dot the British Isles, suddenly she is a Sassenach, an outlander in a Scotland torn by war and raiding border clans in the year of our Lord 1743. Hurled back in time by forces she cannot understand, Claire is catapulted into the intrigues of lairds and spies that may threaten her life and shatter her heart. For here, James Fraser, a gallant young Scots warrior, shows her a love so absolute that Claire becomes a woman torn between fidelity and desire, and between two vastly different men and two irreconcilably irreconcilable lives. I should just give up today. Goodness. And again, another chunky book, 850 pages. So I'm just putting the chunky. I have less books, so we're getting chunky ones on there. Then we got another red, so another romance. And this one is Brother Bear again, and this is a spiritual element. And I was thinking more like spirituality rather than religion, but trying to again make things work and make 2024 a little easier reading wise. I went with Cassidy by Lori Wick. This is for my C book for the ABC Book Challenge. And this one, because it's historical, but it's also Christian romance. And so because it's Christian romance, you have that spiritual aspect with church and God and such. So that's what I'm going with. And it says Montana Territory, 1880. A seamstress by trade, Cassidy Norton makes her living sewing for the folks of Token Creek. Amid the bustle of this busy frontier town, her life is rich. What time her growing business doesn't take, her friends and church family fill. But Cassidy hasn't always lived in Token Creek, and few people know anything about her family or past. As Cassidy struggles with the nagging unsettledness in her heart, she must decide whether or not to share her with the people who have become so dear to her. Will Cassidy find the strength to take that risk, and will her own dreams come true? So, excited for that one. It sounds like something I would just really enjoy. So, then we finally got to the end. I almost messed up because I was thinking, at the end, I wasn't thinking I'm moving 2, but we pulled a blue and was able to move 2 to the final spot in the North Pole, which means it can be any genre. And we got Moana, which is family expectation. And so for this one, I chose Blood and Chocolate by Annette Curtis Klause. And I chose this one because the main character is a werewolf and she falls in love with a human, and so a pack of werewolves is kind of like a family, and there's kind of expectations there because it's what do they call it? A meat boy. She falls in love with a meat boy, so there's definitely expectations there. So that's what I'm going for, and this is of course my B book. So really excited for this. I found this at a thrift store, of course. It says Vivian Gandillan relishes the change, the sweet, fierce ache that carries her from girl to wolf. At 16, she is beautiful and strong, and all the young wolves are on her tail. But Vivian still grieves for her dead father. Her pack remains leaderless and in disarray, and she feels lost in the suburbs of Maryland. She longs for a normal life, but what is normal for a werewolf? Then Vivian falls in love with a human, a meat boy. Aiden is kind and gentle, a welcome relief from the squabbling pack. He is fascinated by magic, and Vivian longs to reveal herself to him. Surely he would understand her and delight in the wonder of her dual nature, not fear her as an ordinary human would. Vivian's divided loyalties are strained further when a brutal murder threatens to expose the pack. Moving between two worlds, she does not seem to belong in either. What is she really, human or beast? Which tastes sweeter, blood or chocolate? So I'm excited. I love this cover too. It's just so colorful and I love it. So that is all the books, and then of course, like I said, I will be continuing on with Shogun and the Iliad and the Odyssey. Shogun, I've been reading like a chapter or two a night at bed. Well, not every night, but you know, when I do read it, it's at bedtime and I just read a chapter or two. The Iliad and the Odyssey, I haven't really picked up since I read the first little part of it. So I definitely need to jump back into that, which is still actually November when I'm filming this. It's a couple days before December, so I'm going to read these over the last couple days of the month. And then as I can in December, like I said, I got, you know, at the when you're seeing this, the 24 days of Bookmas is done, but um that's a lot of reading. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you here. Let me know if any of these books are ones you're interested in, if you've read any of them, and kind of your thoughts on them. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy New Year! And again, if you celebrate Christmas, I hope it was a good one for you. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.